Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video, I'm going to take a look at a team that I want to try anyway. I want to try this core of the ALOLAN MAROWAK, Hello Marowak, as a shadow together with the Azumarill currently in the Halloween Cup. I climbed up to 2,972 ELO with this team. And this team was amazing. This team was fantastic to run. I had a lot of fun playing this team. And yeah, we're going to have a team here with the Marowak in the lead. The face-up is going to be that Azumarill, and we have the Greninja in the back. Here, we see that I use Greninja actually as a face-up for this one, just mainly because I knew that against Nidoqueen there, for example, it would be better for me to go into Greninja as I get to the charge move faster than I can get to a Poison Fang. Here in this case, I'm going to be able to do some damage against that Fortress, which is going to be alright, but let's take a look at how this battle is actually going to work out for us. We're going to decide to go into our Azumarill here. Why do we do this? Because I don't want to get hit by a Rock Tomb onto my Fire-type Pokemon there. In comes the Nidoqueen. We are going to be able to hit this Pokemon with an Ice Beam, and we can go for the combo play, going for the Bone Club straight away with our ALOLAN Shadow Marowak here. Getting a lot of damage in there, getting the KO, and with that we are going to be able to win this battle. And this is the fun part of it, as the Kanto Marowak has been seeing a lot of play in the open meta. This Pokemon here, the ALOLAN Marowak, also got buffed recently with Bone Club being a little bit stronger, and with that this Pokemon is just going to be very, very strong in this meta. Fire Spin got buffed I think 2 times in between as well since the last time I actually used this Pokemon, and funnily enough, back in the day, the ALOLAN Marowak there as a shadow and as a non-shadow was actually top meta in the Open Great League before. Like, this was the case back in the day, really early on in the GO Battle League meta, where the ALOLAN Marowak was one of the best Pokemon to run. And then it kind of disappeared. It disappeared because other Pokemon got too strong. Its Pokemon itself got nerfed, I think, at one point with Shadow Bone, which didn't really need it to be the case. But yeah, still, it was a little bit better back in the day as well there. But yeah, this Pokemon was top meta before, so maybe you still have it built. Even the non-Shadow would work for this team, absolutely. You don't need the Shadow version of it. I like the Shadow version because of the extra damage, but it's not necessary. In comes here Night Slash from the opponent, which is going to be alright for us. We are going to be able to go for the Shadow Bone against the opponent here as well, which is going to do some sort of damage against the Azumarill. Azumarill can be a bit of a trickier Pokemon for us to deal with. In this case, we're going to be ending up in a scenario where we have Greninja against the opponent's Azu, and it is not ideal, don't get me wrong, it is not an ideal matchup whatsoever. We are going to see the shield coming up, the player off is coming through, and we're going to try our best to go for the double Night Slash here. I guess in this case it's going to be a CMP time. With that, we're sadly going to lose the second battle here, I think, because the Azumarill was a bit too tough to take down. But most of the times Azumarill is going to be used as a say-stop or in the lead, and both those times I actually can deal with it quite well. Here we're going to have face Golisopod in the lead. This is not ideal, but in this meta people are running Fury Cutter on this Pokemon, as those Dark-type Pokemon are quite prevalent here in this meta, so it's better to run Fury Cutter, which is super effective against Dark, instead of Shadow Claw, which is going to be super effective against Ghost types here, for example. So we have a double resisted fast move from the opponent, but a super effective charge move from them, and this is going to make this matchup a little bit more awkward. I do think that we would be able to survive an Aqua Jet, but only barely, and it's not worth really the risk. And so I'm going to try to catch the move here onto my Azumarill while keeping the energy on my Elite, which is working out perfectly fine here as the Aqua Jet is going to do resisted damage on the Azumarill, and we're going to be able to bait out the Florges. This is not looking too good for us though, because now the Trailblaze is coming through. We are going to be able to go for one charge move here against them, which is going to be that player off coming in now. But it is not going to be enough to get the KO or get them even to farm down range for our own Marowak. As you will see, they're going to go for next charge move. It is going to be the Trailblaze coming through, and we're going to see the Marowak coming in now. I try to go for the charge move, but we lose the CMP tie against the Florges. Chilling Water is coming through. It's not going to be enough to knock us out, even with a double boost and a super effectiveness. Chilling Water was not enough to take down a Shadow Marowak here, which I found quite interesting. As in comes now the Incineroar. Maybe we still have some play against it. We are going to be able to go for the Night Slash here as well to try to bait the shield out, hopefully, which does work out. We have even the double boost on us. In comes Golisopod. I needed to farm them down here. I should have farmed them down here. I did make a mistake here by going for the charge move. If I farmed them down, I actually would have been able to win this battle. I'm fairly certain I would have been able to do it in hindsight with that, but I wasn't able to do so, and that is kind of unfortunate because I think that was a winnable battle. So yeah, next up, we're going to see here the Shadow Scissor again. I actually went 4-1 twice with this team, and then I think I went 2-1 in my next set with it. So a total of 10-3, which I think is quite a respectful score there. I think we saw 2 losses already from those 3, so that's kind of great. But yeah, we're going to see now the Azumarill against us. We're going to try our best to go for some play rough damage here as well against the Azumarill. Most of the time it's going to be a Say-Sub. It's most of the time a Say-Sub with a Shadow Scissor in the lead. That's one of the most common Pokemon currently. And basically, what we can see here as well, there's going to be the Azumarill coming in next. We are going to be able to let this move go. Azumarill is not running Hydro Pump in this meta. Azumarill is running Play Rough Ice Beam for sure all the time. Needed to be. And with that, we're going to have actually Marowak resisting all the charge moves, which makes it not a bad matchup. As you can see here right now as well, we have now the shield advantage, but we are facing a fortress. And it's a fortress with the fast move of Bug Bite. Volt Switch, even though it's super effective against both of our Pokemon, actually I think I would have preferred it because I do think it does less damage than the Bug Bite does against us here. And so we are going to see here now, we're going to have the Rock Tomb coming in. We're going to be able to swap out into our Greninja. Now it depends on if Greninja can win us this battle. In comes the shield, in comes the Rock Tomb. Now we do less damage. We have to try to go for the Hydro Cannon is what I thought. And so we decide to go for this move. This is going to be getting the shield, and we can still outspeed the opponent to get that ultimate KO against the opponent here as well, which is going to be perfect. We can move on to the next one, where yet again we are going to face a very tough lead. It's going to be a Lostheart, which is of course a common Pokemon for the current meta of the Halloween Cup. But there is one thing about this team I think that we're facing, I think I remember. Lostheart itself is like the worst possible Pokemon you can encounter, by the way. This is kind of a core breaker. Usually you run the Marowak with a double Fairy line. I've seen Wigglytuff in the back. I've seen the Whimsicott in the back. This helps out, of course, against this weakness. But yeah, we're going to see a Cresselia coming in. Cresselia isn't allowed. I went into the wrong meta again here. This is the Open Great League battle. I sometimes just misclick. But again, this doesn't mean that a Halloween Cup team cannot win in the Open Great League. What we're going to see here right now is of course going to be a shield coming in, even though it's a resisted damage there. I can't really let my Marowak go down yet. I have to get my damage in with my Shadow Bone here. And so I'm trying my best to win with my Marowak. We're going to see the shield coming up again from us. Moonblast coming in comes the Lostheart. I'm going to go into the Azu. And funnily enough, the opponent goes for the bait move of Brutal Swing. Even though what we're going to see here at a later stage, they are going to go to get to another charge move here. And I was expecting a Brutal Swing, expecting they have Dragon Claw Brutal Swing. They have Sludge Bomb. So they could have actually got some more damage in already earlier. Don't think they would have got to 2 Sludge Bombs anyway. But now it's time for Azumarill to unleash a Play Rough, hoping that this puts them into range where you can knock them out. In comes a Scissor. This is basically the practical best Pokemon that I could imagine to face with this team. A Scissor is now going to go down to that Bone Club. In comes that Cresselia, and I have to still hope they can reach an Ice Beam in time. I can, and with that, we are going to be able to win this battle. And with that, we can move on to the next opponent. Well, let's see what we're going to have here. I think it's Matugaldi, multiple times regional winner, I think. We have a pretty awkward lead. We have the Azumarill against us. But as said before, I am not too worried about Azumarill yet. Because what we have here is we have the Azumarill against the Azumarill matchup. Now we got the shield already early on from the Marowak. Play Rough is not really hitting me for too much. It's actually beaming here a little bit. They're already legend as well. The Pumpkaboo there. That's the thing as well. I would have been also easily already legend if I just wouldn't change my team all the time. I think if I would just play this team for an entire day, I would easily climb up the last few bits that are missing for me. I still might hit legend, by the way, today. If you want to follow me on Twitter or whatever, you're gonna most days see me posting there towards it as well. I might even make a community post on YouTube here. If I'm gonna hit legend today, I still have 6 sets left. I need 50 more ELO. I definitely feel confident that I can do it, but I have team ideas that maybe don't allow me to do that. I don't know. But as soon as I hit legend, I have another video that I want to do as well, which is going to be kind of funny because it's more of a fun team that I want to run that I currently just didn't go for because, yeah, I'm close to legend. Anyway, my plan here is I want to win with Greninja. I want to win with Greninja, and in order to do this, we know all the team from the opponent. I need to farm them all the way down. This is my win con. This is my win con. As long as I can do that, I win. And as you can see, I use a shield. They go for the Blast Burn. This was the only way of winning this battle if I no shield the Blast Burn. And now I know there's an Azumarill and there's a Pumpkaboo, which means I can just go for double Night Slash and I win. Pumpkaboo is going to go down to Night Slash easily. We win Team Pitta against everything anyway. And the Azumarill is going to be also in a range where I should have went for Hydro Cannon, but Double Night Slash is going to be easily enough as well. And so we win against the multiple regional winner. But can we win against the next opponent here as well? We're going to have the Pawniard coming in. In comes Azumarill. As said before, Azumarill is a problem for this team, but not really. Like, funnily enough, it is not that bad, especially in like this kind of scenario where I can get a Shadow Bone off. Shadow Bone is doing some solid damage. We go chip and dip, and with that, we are going to be able to just take the Hydro Pump from the opponent. Apparently, they're running Hydro Pump and Ice Beam, and that is going to be a matchup that I do enjoy. And now we know that we don't want to have it in the lead. But also, it makes it even better for Greninja. In comes Pawniard. Pawniard can get some energy here. I tried to overfarm by a bit, of course, against the Azumarill prior in order to get to the charge move here a bit faster. But I'm going to wait for them to go for a move first in order for me to get a little bit of energy here still on the Azumarill. Now it's one fast move from our Marowak. Goodbye there. Pawniard goes down. In comes the Azumarill. We can let the move go. I should be a Hydro Pump now. That was a bit silly though, actually. I should have shielded this move. But they have Togekiss in the back, and now at this point I actually think it's best for me to have my Greninja here. I actually do think it's better than the Marowak, which is kind of funny because Marowak is already low, Greninja is not, and Greninja outspeeds the opponent's Togekiss, and that is quite important in order for us to win this battle here. And so here I am going to be able to use a shield, but I know that the opponent is completely energy dry, and I only need 2 more fast moves in order to reach another Hydro Cannon. But also, with that same knowledge, I know that they are very likely are going to try to catch here. And so I overfarm. And so there is the Azumarill coming in against the Azumarill as well here. And we can go for the Ice Beam here as well, which is going to allow us to get the shield up against the opponent. In comes Togekiss. We're going to be able to go for another charge move here. This is going to be another Ice Beam, which is going to allow us to win this battle. And we can move on to the next one. Next up is going to be Azumarill against us in the lead. Again, I said before, it is not the worst. I can go for the Shadow Bone here, and with that, I'm just going to get somewhat of an advantage. In this case, I'm going to get some damage out of him. I can stop out, I can catch the move, and even if this is a Hydro Pump, I'm going to be able to survive it. That's kind of how I want to do it. Ice Beam comes through, it's a resisted hit, barely does anything. Wormadam comes in next. This is a Pokemon that hardwalls us. They have Confusion, which is going to give them access to a fast move now that generates more energy as well and does some solid damage. All our charge moves are going to be resisted sadly on them. And so we kind of want to play the long run here, the long game, because what we can do is we can go ahead and go into our Fire type. Try to do some damage here. And we should be able to resist all the charge moves from them. They have Iron Head and Bug Buzz usually. Iron Head is coming through now, and they swap back into the Azumarill, which allows me to go yet again for another Shadow Bone. Shadow Bone is coming through, doing some solid damage, and we get now also out our own Azumarill again, I assume. We should go into our own Azumarill. I want them to go for the charge move. I want to let this move go, and I hope I can stop out with my Greninja. I can. I keep my energy on my own Azumarill. I get energy on my Greninja. I should have went for Night Slash here. I want to go for Night Slash already, but I was 1 turn delayed. It's not enough to knock them out here, sadly. And so they have 1 HP left. I can get the full farm down done now. And against Pokemon like the Wormadam, I'm going to be able to outspeed them. Against the Scizor here, I'm going to be able to have a very solid play against as well. I have the double Night Slash even I can go for. First Night Slash is coming through. I have so much energy on my Greninja that I just force all those shields. And this is going to be great. As Wormadam comes in, I'm going to be able to get the KO against them as they don't have any shields left. And here's the thing that people maybe don't realize. Night Slash is enough for me to win this battle. That's all I need. This is all I need. I win now. Because I have still the player off onto my Azumarill, which is going to guarantee to win me the battle, and we can move on to the next opponent, where we will face yet another Golisopod. And again, it's the same play that we had before already. What we want to do is we want to kinda stay in, get as much fast move pressure in against them as possible, and then see on where we're gonna end up with that. In comes yet another Shadow Bone here, Shadow Bone it is, from us, which is going to allow us to get the shield from them. They're going to get our shield, but again, we are going to be able to use that also now to go for another Bone Club, which is going to be perfect. In comes here the Bone Club from us. We're going to try our best to go into our Azumarill, and the Scizor is going to be coming in next. We can try our best to go for Playoffs, but we can take a hit here as well. It's not really too bad for us yet. And this is going to be a Trailblaze coming in. And in comes the player off here, which is going to be forcing them to, was I go down nearly even? That's going to get them very, really low. Not enough to knock them out fully, but with the bubbles, it actually is. And now, who are we going to go into? Into our Marowak or into our Greninja? I usually go into the Pokemon that they already seen before, even though they had maybe an answer for it. In this case, it's going to be the Marowak. In comes the Aqua Jet. That is fine by me. I can keep my charge move. And this is what I wanted. I wanted to keep my charge move because even though they have Ice Fang here on the Drapion, what the hell. Even if I don't get another charge move here somehow, which I will definitely with Ice Fang on it. Yeah, I would be able to win this battle with my other Pokemon still, with my Marowak. And so we are going to be able to win no matter what. And we can move on to the second to last battle for today, which I played quite stupidly here. We have Leavenny, which is one of the best possible leads I could imagine. In comes Azumarill, which is honestly not too bad in this position either. As we will see here the charge move coming through, this is going to allow us to get a bit of an advantage. And we can even get the defense drop onto them, which is perfect. This allows us maybe to even put them into Bubble Down plus the Play Rough range, which would be ideal for us, as we're going to see here as well. We're going to try to go for another Play Rough against the opponent, but in comes now the charge move from them. And this is going to be a Play Rough coming in. We can go for the charge move here. This is perfect. The Play Rough is going to allow us to get them super low enough that we can bubble them down. But they're actually going to go ahead and... No, they actually don't swap out here. They go back into their Leavenny, I think. They go into their Leavenny and they go for the wrong move. Like, I should have just went ahead and went for the Ice Beam. That would have been way smarter. I don't know why I didn't do that. I tried to snipe them here and I wasn't even able to do that to get baited out into the Carbink. And honestly, if I just played out anything here, I would have been fine. I have good answer and Carbink still in the back. Luckily, I get to this Bone Club. And this Bone Club actually is going to be quite crucial for this battle. Why is it so crucial for this battle, you might ask? The reason is that, yeah, we kinda needed to get the shield from them. As now, we are gonna use a shield as well, but we are going to be able to go for the Hydro Cannon, which would knock them out. But they still have the Leavenny left, and I know that I can stop out of here, I can take the hit, and I'm not really threatened by anything. I'm actually gonna go for a shield, which doesn't really make any sense at all. But I guess against the Carbink, it doesn't matter. I think we will win no matter what. We can move on to the last opponent here, where we have our horrible lead. It's going to be against Greninja. And I go actually into my harder answer straight away, because I felt like that if Greninja are going to get energy later on for me, it's going to be better for me. The opponent makes it very smart here. They get up to another charge move before swapping out into their own Dusclops. Of course, I have a good answer against the Dusclops with my own Greninja. And so, ideally, I would only like to go for this one charge move and just hope they can swap out afterwards in order to put them down to Night Slash range maybe for my Greninja. Shell Punch comes through. I mean, don't want to go for another charge move. They go for another charge move themselves, which is alright here. And we should be able to take this hit. We're going to be able to swap out onto the Greninja. And while they're going to be able to go for another move here, it's not going to be anything threatening. As we know already, this is going to be just a move that is going to do basically nothing. In comes the own Greninja. I decided to use a shield here. Not too sure if I should have. It's a Hydro Cannon anyway. I'm going to be able to go for my own Hydro Cannon. But I guess I just want to get rid of the Greninja of the opponent here, as we're going to have our lead, which so far doesn't have any play. And I'm gonna let this move go. I can still take a hit. I have my own Hydro Cannon coming through. I have my energy stored on my Azumarill, a player stored there still, and I should be able to just go ahead and go for the full farm down, get that KO. In comes, let's see what's coming in. It is going to be the Golurk. I can go for the Shadow Bone, and I have an Ice Beam stored. And so all the energy that we just saved up was absolutely fantastic for us, as now the Ice Beam is coming in. This is going to allow us to get the KO, and we can just move on now to... yeah, the KO as well against the Dusclops, because there's nothing they can do here anymore. We have a Shield Def, we have the Play Rough coming in, and with it, we're going to be able to win this one. And yeah, I climbed up total at the end. Like, this is not the last that I actually did, but here I recorded the ELO ranking up there. 2x4-1, and 1x2-1, giving me up to 2,972. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.